Hello everyone and welcome to the brand new, freshly rescanned, repaved Iowa Speedway. Kinda. It's Murph, it's Jacob Collins, and welcome to the Monday Night Indy Open Top Split here on P1 Broadcasting. We got a monster field to test these freshly repatched corners, Mr. Collins. Kind of talk us and walk us through what you expect to see tonight.
Well, I expect to see a whole lot of running in the black stuff and not a whole lot of running much place else. Those fresh asphalt patches are basically the preferred place to be. They might as well be the only place to be, and we'll have to see. There's been talks of high tire wear and very, very treacherous corner exits as cars kind of get loaded up and want to spin off those corners.
You know, it most certainly does, and this is one of those tracks that's very challenging. Was noted for its challenges with tire wear in its old configuration, but now you see those dark asphalt patches in the corners. That is new pavement. It is high grip, but we're getting tire wear for a different reason. Jacob, kind of walk through the difference between tire wear as it relates to load versus tire wear that is related to abrasion. Is it any different?
Well, it's different in how you might want to account for it, right? Is you maybe get a bit more control on abrasive surfaces than you do just outright load, because you can really only limit so much in terms of how much you're loading the tires up aside from just driving slower. And there is indeed a limit as to how slow you can drive to kind of make up that difference in terms of wear versus pace. So it'll be interesting to see how that gets accounted for as we clock off 160 laps here at the Iowa Speedway. We
most certainly will. Right now, fastest on the track, Robert Malechka III, 189.252. And when you talk about fast, 189.2 miles an hour on a track that is 3/4 of a mile or 7/8 of a mile, Collins, that's hauling the mail, brother.
It absolutely is, and it's definitely gotten faster as the quote fastest short track on the planet. Just given that the more corner speed you can carry and the harder you push it, you're going to carry that more speed, and I won't be surprised if we see 190 here before too long, if we get maybe a night race here at some point.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So the weather tonight, the weather today, it is the daytime at the Iowa Speedway, 83 degrees in the air, 109 on the track. Wind northwest at 7 miles an hour, so blowing at their backs through 1 and 2, across the nose in 3 and 4. Collins, Jacob, one thing that I would talk about here, this track is noted in real life for being very physically demanding. Do you think that some of these drivers tonight might need an aspirin by the time this thing is over?
Well, you kind of talk about how the fast speeds, the quick closing on the corners, that's kind of the nature of short track racing. A lot of guys will kind of cite that as they'll get dizzy and lose track of where they are. I wouldn't be surprised if that's at least the case. I don't know if we'll get quite the physicality, but especially the mental game of just trying to remember where you are on the speedway sometimes is enough of a challenge in its own right.
It can be. You're exactly right. We're getting ready to get down to business. The track record here, just incidentally, Ryan Briscoe, 2008, the Iowa Corn Indy 250. That was when the pavement here, the original pavement was brand new, 17.490, and we are much quicker than that as we get down to the end of qualifying. It has closed. Jacob, let's set the starting lineup. To neither one of our surprise there, Jacob. Pole, Jason Brophy, 189.876 miles an hour right at the gun. Robert Malechka, he's going to start the outside, 189.252. Alexander Russell, Jacob Oster, they're going to make up row 2. Hamilton Akabuezi and Anna Klimek, the deer, she's making an oval top split start, and Anna is going to go from the outside of row 3. Nick Sudik and Chad Simpson, row 4. Seb Alexander and Olivia Hayward, they're going to round out the top 10. In 11th, it's Olivia Hayward, Rashad Craig is 11th, and Kyle Clinworth in 12th. Ty Keela, Caleb Brashear make up row 7. Logan Edwards, Lane Doyle, 15th and 16th. Blaze Andrich, Robin Blake is 17th and 18th. David Hinger and Ellis Spice, they'll roll from the tail end of the field, and they did not take time, and that's an interesting interesting choice, especially here, Jacob, given that you can go a lap down at Iowa in a hurry.
Looks like there may have been efforts to maybe get some laps turned, whether or not it was an intentional intentional run to forfeit their times. But in either case, it is very hard to stay on the lead lap here. As many will attest, you kind of get put in a blender very, very quickly. It's very easy to lose a lot of time very quickly here, and it's next to impossible to make it up. So it's definitely a big gamble to start from the rear of the field and kind of work your way forward. But a lot can happen here, especially with those closing speeds and kind of the close proximity all the cars are in. It's basically a traditional short track on the stock car side of things. So a lot can happen in a very short distance, a short amount of time, and you can make up ground just by still being out there come the end of the race.
Yes, so we've got Paula Scory in the chat. Wants to know, is this the new Iowa? It is. Excuse the fourth wall break. I need to get the voice chat shut off. I had forgotten to do that. My apologies to everybody out there that got to see they got to break the immersion. We try not to do that, but sometimes it happens. But yes, this is the new Iowa. So those dark patches that you see, that is the new pavement. And we need to be Johnny on the spot here because I believe we are going to go green next time by. If you think the caution laps are quick here, Jacob, if we get going in the race in race trim, 20 seconds a lap, this baby is going to be over. 160 laps is going to go by pretty darn quick.
Well, 20 seconds just even being slightly generous, as we saw qualifying times below 17. So it's once they get clicking, I'm imagining we won't see anything much slower than maybe a low 18 come the end of the run. I've heard that like the tire fall off may be strong, but it's not like strong enough where you're going to see a huge separation between cars aside from maybe just kind of where people are at driving or setup wise. So be interesting to see, especially if leaders catch lap traffic early, how that plays into the impact of the race.
You know, it does, and I can say, having raced, even though it was the DW12 here, there's so much grip in that new pavement that it kind of negates the aero wash. Now, I know that aero isn't a huge thing in those cars. As we get ready to come down and grab the green flag, Jason Brophy is going to lead him down, and we are green at Iowa, and already we've got cars sliding through the infield. And those are the leaders. That's Jason Brophy, Alexander Russell, Robert Malechka. All three went through the infield. Now there's a story, and we're gonna have to back up and see what we can see here. So
that is something that's kind of been notorious here at Iowa, even on the old surface, is on starts and restarts. Very quick to unload the car.
And it wasn't just, you see Nick Sudik as well. Both cars on the front row turned dead left, coming to get the green flag. All of them spin down through the infield. Alexander Russell collected, as is Nick Sudik on his own. That's going to leave Jacob Oster 1.6 seconds out in front. There's the gap back to Anna Klimek. Klimek is second in what would be a massive upset. But this is the back from Jacob Oster. He's loving life right now.
Yeah, you got to imagine being in the catbird seat, kind of right behind all that on the high side where all the cars are going low. He had the best shot to kind of swoop it on the outside and run away with it, but we'll have to see just how far he opts to walk away here. As we kind of discussed, lap traffic might be a big factor here, and it may impact how well he's able to stay away from the lead of the rest of the field.
There you go. This is the battle for second. Jacob Oster has begun to sod away from Klimek, Simpson, Akabuezi, and Alexander. So the battle is for second. Anna Klimek leads it. That's Chad Simpson climbing to the high side of Hamilton, Akabuezi. Seb Alexander. Well, Seb has the best seat in the house, riding along in fifth. There we go. Christian Steele checking in, former iRacing Indianapolis 500 winner. Good to see you, Christian. Your man Jacob Oster is currently walking away. He's not only leading, he's a tenth of a second quicker than this group. And you've got Akabuezi now has cleared Simpson. He's looking to go to the outside of Anna Klimek. Well, now he's made that move, and so put Hamilton Akabuezi to second, Anna Klimek back to third, and she's going to have trouble. Seb Alexander has just gotten past Chad Simpson. He's moved into fourth. Simpson back to fifth, but it is a long way back. These cars are already 2.7 seconds in arrears. Also would like to report that Malechka and Russell both have meatballs. They are on pit lane and out of this race. And Collins, that's a rare mistake. We don't see Robert Malechka make many mistakes, but he did there on the start. Lit the rear tires up, got into Alexander Russell. Both of those cars are day done. Sudik and Brophy got back going. The problem for those cars, if you look at Jacob Oster, we get up on the roll bar. That car up there, that's Nick Sudik, and that's a fast car. Sudik is in danger of going a lap down here.
Yeah, they've kind of got to get lucky at this point and hope something maybe happens in the midfield, kind of with the scuffling of the cars that are a bit closer together. But obviously, it's very hard to stay close together on these turns here at the Iowa Speedway, just given how much you're loading the car up, trying to stay in that bottom groove. There's not tons of room to follow other cars or even kind of offset yourself to try to maintain speed. So it's definitely going to be tricky for them to make up any ground forward to stay from going a lap down.
Well, speaking of cars that have been making progress going forward, we've talked about the Akabuezi Alexander. Seb Alexander has now gotten past Anna Klimek, Chad Simpson, so Klimek fourth, Simpson fifth. This car, Rashad Craig, is sixth. He's leading Ty Keela, Kyle Clinworth, Logan Edwards, and Olivia Hayward back through the top 10. And so those cars have all benefited. Here's Caleb Brashear. He's got Lane Doyle. Lane Doyle, the lowest I rating in the field at 29.89. Lane Doyle runs at 12th. And give a shout out to the Bucky's machine. He's hanging in there. You've got Robin Glakis, Blaze Andrich. They're 13 and 14th. And then you've got Brophy. Jason Brophy is turning laps identical to the leader. And you got to wonder, there might be a little bit of red mist under the helmet of the power slide machine of Jason Brophy, because he is flying.
Well, you got to imagine he's all business at this point, right? He's got nowhere to go but forward, and especially if he can stay on the lead lap here, maybe catch a lucky break in a pit cycle, or play some strategy. Maybe he's doing a little bit of fuel saving, as difficult as that may be here. There's opportunity for him to make up ground the easy way, but there's also a lot of ground that he can make up by just clicking off solid laps, maintaining pace with the leader here.
Very true. Do want to go back to Hamilton Akabuezi. Hamilton is just a touch of the stopwatch faster than Jacob Oster now, and for Hamilton, that might be one of the few cars that you would think might be able to run down Jacob. The difference, though, there is you don't know what these drivers are thinking in terms of fuel. 160 laps leaves it just enough that if you caught the yellow just right, you might be able to do this in one stop. And so I wonder, we see Oster, Akabuezi now in the 18.1. Well, Hamilton that time 18.4. The rest of the field in the 18.3s and 4s. You got to wonder, Jacob, are these guys already turning these cars down in anticipation of just making that one stop?
Well, you think that at least a couple might try it. It's hard to tell right now if it's just a turn down or if we're actually reaching the point at which the tires are starting to fall away a little bit. Possible, just given the extra corner load, we're reaching that point where the tires have kind of cliffed off, if you will, and we've seen the best that we're going to get out of them on this run. So we'll just have to see kind of how that progresses, and if we see a bunch of cars peel off early here, or if we see a number of them kind of wait as long as they possibly can to catch that break.
Tell you the guy who's making the most of his tires, that's Jason Brophy. He is just past Robin Glakis and David Hinger. So move Brophy up to 14th, and he is working on Blaze Andrich now. Brophy from 14th, Andrich 13th. The next up on Brophy's hit parade would be Lane Doyle. Doyle is about a second ahead, and there you see him in the number 20 Bucky's machine. Let's take a look at Jason Brophy here. How far forward can he get is the question. And what kind of strategy is he gonna work or try to work in order to get himself back up there? You would think that he's got it turned all the way up, Jacob. And so if that's the case, you're looking at 2/10 fall off. Kyle Clinworth, Logan Edwards are doing battle as well. This is 8th and 9th. The front 7 really have pretty much stabilized here. So this is the closest. This is the closest battle for position. It's the battle for 8th. We're looking at Clinworth has it. Logan Edwards wants it, and Logan Edwards, he's putting to use all that experience. Remember, this is a guy that's won in stock cars on the channel in the AMA. He's won in Indy cars. He was the winner at Daytona. And so Logan Edwards is kind of a merchant and a speed merchant in all different vehicles, and he's working on Clindy here for 8th.
Yeah, and this is probably about the point where you'll see kind of bigger gaps start to form up here too, right? As the tires start to fall away, people are kind of settling into rhythms, realizing kind of where their car is going to be at speed-wise, what they might be able to gain, and what they have a bigger chance of losing if they push just that little bit too hard. So we'll just have to see as they kind of close in on Ty Keela here. Maybe Ty's pushed his stuff a little too hard here, and they're going to reel him back in. But it's going to be difficult to make those passes if you don't have any sort of anywhere to go. As we see Ty kind of wrap all the way as close to the white line as he dares, it's going to be difficult to set up those moves later and later into the run.
You know, this has always been a track, Jacob, that favored the long run car. If you could set one up so that it didn't burn the tires off, you could really, really move forward in the last third of a run. And that seems to be what Kyle Clinworth is doing. I would look at a guy like Rashad Craig to do that. Seb Alexander's another one. Seb actually set the car up that I ran last year in the iRacing INDYCAR Series, and almost we were one unlucky caution away from stealing that race. But if you can make your car work on a long run, and this track does lend itself to long green flag runs, but if you can set one up to run that way, Jacob, you've got a shot to do something really cool. Clindy all the way up next to the wall. He's going to slide down. He's going to hit Ty. Clinworth gets loose into Ty Keela. Trouble for the rogue entries. And you got to wonder now, does Kyle Clinworth have any damage?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it in the pre-race that those quarter exits on the high side especially are really, really sketchy, and he might have just had the car or loaded up a little bit too much and lost it, especially in the kind of the difference in grip between the black patches on the new pavement and the gray patches of the old pavement. I imagine that car kind of just got out from under him, and there was nothing Kyle could really have done to hold on to that thing at that point.
Yeah, well, he was getting up higher even before that patch. There you see it comes off the corner, just turns loose and right in to poor Ty Keela there. And so Ty Keela definitely damaged. Kyle Clinworth, well, he's going to have damage as well. As a matter of fact, he's going to bring the car to pit road, and that's going to be trouble because they cannot make it home from here. So committing to the 2 stops, Kyle Clinworth, Ty Keela is on pit road. He has the meatball. He must respect that. Clinworth's going to drop back to 16th. Meanwhile, Seb Alexander, as traffic has become a factor, that's Ellis Spice up directly ahead of Hamilton Akabuezi. Seb Alexander has caught more or less Hamilton as they could perhaps do battle for second. The front, Jacob Oster has definitely pulled a huge gap. He's 3 seconds up over Akabuezi. Akabuezi and Alexander are more or less in touch. And then you've got another couple of seconds back to Anna Klimek, Chad Simpson, and then another second and a half back to Rashad Craig. So very spread out here. Hamilton Akabuezi very close to the lapper. He does not want to stay behind him, does he, Jacob?
No, and the quicker you can get by these things, by the lappers, the better off you are. I would like to submit an addendum to the Kyle Clinworth situation. He did not pit there. He actually got loose off of turn 4 and slid through the grass, much like we kind of saw at the start of this race. with Rob and Alexander Russell.
An addendum. I like that. I haven't heard that word used in a sentence since I was in college. So thank you for making me feel old, Mr. Collins. We appreciate that here at P1 Broadcasting. An addendum. That's a high point Scrabble word you just rolled out there, brother.
It's worth a couple letters, that's for sure.
It most certainly is. Looking at Anna Klimek, she is so far holding in fourth. Chad Simpson behind her in fifth. And then you've got you've got huge gaps back the rest of the field. This is a battle, though. Caleb Brashear, Blaze Andrich, and Jason Brophy. Brophy has now made it into the top 10. He's looking at Andrich in ninth. Caleb Brashear is eighth. This is by far the closest battle on the racetrack. Brophy is coming. His problem, though, is he's 8 seconds behind Brashear up in the wall. Brophy has to lift.
Yeah, Brashear was trying to hold it on the high side as Andrich was low through 3 and 4, and it's probably very difficult to stay up in that middle groove just outside the black patch even. So he just probably ran out of track by the time he got to the exit of the corner, as he seems to continually kind of wash really, really wide off turn 4 there.
Does indeed. Do want to point out that both Robert Malechka and Alexander Russell have got their power slide machines back onto the track. They are 22 laps down. 22 laps. Looking at Jason Brophy here as he tries to thread his way through Blaze Andrich. This is the battle for 8th. Andrich has it. Brophy wants it. I do want to thank everybody, by the way, for their patience. The cameras tonight provided by Whiplash SimCams. You may notice, though, we don't have the full complement. Some of them, with the new scan, there are fence posts in the way and things of that nature. So we do want to thank Whiplash for the camera shots, but some of them not ready for prime time, and so do want to point that out if the camera angles are less than what some may be expecting.
Oh, Brashear in the wall.
Yeah, he's been flirting with it, and here's Caleb Brashear. Did he catch the apron there, Jacob? Kind of upset it?
I think Lane Doyle might have washed off the bottom up into Brashear through 1 and 2, and Brashear just got absolutely launched.
Whatever the situation, no yellow. Here we go, looking at Lane Doyle. There he goes. Brashear hard into the wall, comes back down. He's going to get a piece of Nick Sudik. Sudik is forgiven, and then because he does not come to rest in the racing line, and that car is broken, as you can see there, no caution.
Yeah, it looked like there might have been a bit of net code at play there, but nonetheless, Brashear took a nasty lick into that turn 2 wall there. Fortunately, we remain under green here, but tough break for Caleb.
We do indeed. Do want to report Jason Brophy has made it past Blaze Andrich. Nick Sudik, who had his rear wing clipped and forgiven, he's going to get around the number 20 of Lane Doyle. He's going to set his sights. That's Alexander Russell in front of him. But Sudik is going to set his sights on Blaze Andrich. Sudik is now up in the top 10.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much further they'll be able to march their way through the field before potentially having to come and stop here in maybe 15, 16 some odd laps, maybe 20.
Yeah, I mean, I would think 70 to 80. 85. I think you can do 85 if you are really super cautious. But I don't know that there's a reason to go that far. I think the most you'll see anybody do is 80 laps, and that's if you're really super saving. Do want to note that Logan Edwards has now made it past the vehicle of Rashad Craig, and Rashad is slow. Rashad Craig just got passed by Jason Brophy as well, and so Rashad Craig has a moment. He loses a couple of positions, but back into action, Rashad Craig. The car that I have to be most impressed with so far, though, Jacob, is Anna Klimek. That Taylor Mills racing machine. she's held on to 5th. She's right behind Chad Simpson. Anna Klimek has given it a good ride this afternoon.
Yeah, she's kind of been on the rise the last 2 seasons or so, particularly with the Indy Pro 2000 series Thursday nights. She's kind of crept onto the scene alongside the Frank Nguyen's and the other gang of Mirai United entries on that side of things. So it's been good to see her kind of grow and make more appearances here on the IndyCar side of things, and show that she's got just as much talent as anybody else out here on the track.
You know, it most certainly is, and we do love that after quite a long period of time, Jacob, of this series being this series and the Indy fixed oval series kind of having the same names week in, week out, almost developing into a private league, as it were, for these broadcasts. It's great to see Anna Klimek. It's great to see Anna Klimek. It's great to see Logan Edwards, drivers like that, making their way into this series and having the staying power, the I rating to be able to make it stick. That's great for the community. It's great for us. We get to showcase new names. But Anna Klimek giving it a good ride on an oval tonight. We've seen her run in the podium positions on a road course, but she's doing a darn good job here at Iowa this evening. The car that's made up the most positions has to be this man, Logan Edwards. He's got Jason Brophy right behind him, but Logan Edwards started 15th. He is currently 6th. So give that man a call in the Luke Mansky machine. Logan Edwards giving his car a great showing this evening as well.
Yeah, we talked about it at the top of the show. That staying out of trouble was going to be key here. A lot can happen really, really fast. We saw it with Kyle Clenworth and Ty Keela getting together off turn 2. We saw it with Brashear through turn 2. A lot of cars can get together very, very quickly, and sometimes just keeping your nose clean, clicking off laps, and being there come the end of it, you can pick up a good number of spots here.
We can. I hate to break away from Logan Edwards. Jason Brophy has gotten past Edwards. We're going to have a battle for the lead here. Jacob Oster has been caught by Hamilton Akabuezi. So that 3-second advantage for Oster at the beginning of the race, that has evaporated. He now does have Hamilton Akabuezi in close attendance, and Seb Alexander has closed that gap as well. Seb now has the disadvantage under 2 seconds, and and those cars have consistently been running the 18, really right around 18.2 second bracket. Other than Jason Brophy, they're 2 3/10 of a second clear of everybody else on the Iowa Speedway this evening. Those 4 cars, Oster, Akabuezi, Alexander, and Brophy, as we get toward the end of this run, are showing that they've been able to manage the resources, the tires, the fuel, and they're going fast at the end. Other cars are showing extreme fall off now. Anna Klimek, Chad Simpson, 18.6 the last time by. So 0.3 to a half a second slower than the leaders.
Yeah, these might have been cars that maybe didn't fire off super, super fast. Obviously, Oster kind of got away at the start, so it was kind of hard to gauge just how much of that was the advantage he got from being in the right position versus just outright pace. But as we've kind of seen over the course of the long run here, we've seen a couple guys kind of gain that speed back by just having more tire coming into this run here.
Well, you do, and the thing about it is too, Jacob, open setup series, different philosophies. Jacob Oster, Hamilton Akabuezi, Seb Alexander, they may have set their cars up for this specific purpose. They may not be the greatest over a short sprint, but they can definitely take it to you over a 75 to 80 lap run. I don't know, by the way, Jacob, that Hamilton Akabuezi is attempting to pass Jacob Oster. I think he's content to follow and save some fuel.
Yeah, you think maybe if he could stretch his fuel run just that little bit longer, maybe get a little shorter of a stop, because it may be entirely possible he thinks he can make it on one stop here, right? He can cut this race in half and make it go end to end. So the longer he makes this opening run, the shorter he can make that second run and maybe not have to save as much fuel. He can be out in clean air for longer.
Well, and that's just it. Lap 80 would, of course, be halfway, and that would be when you would make your stop if you were going to do it in one stop. But the longer you go, the richer you can, the the more fuel you can afford to burn as it gets into the closing stages. And if you've got a long run car and you're anticipating a long green flag run to the end, why not stay out as absolutely long as you can? Jacob Oster working his way through lap number 74. They do have lap traffic in front. That is Lane Doyle. And Lane Doyle is not having a bad day, ladies and gentlemen. Lane Doyle is running in 11th. Kyle Clinworth, David Hinger, Ella Smice, Robin Glakis, Olivia Hayward, Robert Malechka, Alex Russell, Caleb Brashear are all laps down. Brashear is on pit lane in 19th. Tyquila has punched out of his Rogue Racing entry, and he will be classified as 20th. But this is the battle, and Hamilton Akabuezi has turned it up. Meanwhile, Seb Alexander has closed it within 1 second. And Jacob, that is not something that we should lose sight of. Seb Alexander has closed this gap as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If he can kind of get creeped into this picture right before that pit window, it's entirely possible he'll come out or near these front running cars, maybe even ahead of them, depending on how the pit cycle goes. So the more he can gain now, the more likely it is he's kind of in contention come the end of the pit cycle.
Caleb Brashear checking in. He said that apparently the bottom split also had an amazing green flag start. And that's something that you don't know. New setups, new track configuration, different grip levels. You don't necessarily know how things are going to play out at the start. Alexander now has closed within 0.8 of a second, although he does get hung up behind Robin Glakis. Alexander trying to work around on Glakis as we watch the battle for the lead. Hamilton Akabuezi has poked the nose out a couple of times on Jacob Oster, but he hasn't been able to make the move. As Alexander continues to close, he's now within 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, you've got to wonder maybe if Hamilton using Oster as a pick here is also deliberate to maybe get Alexander into this picture here, maybe mount a little bit more pressure on Oster as they come to the pit cycle here, force a mistake as we see Hamilton fade to the high side again here. Oster coming to the pit lane. So Hamilton has saved a little bit more fuel. He's going to make it past halfway here. Be interesting to see just how much further he can take it.
Yes, it is. And that's the disadvantage, right, of your Jacob Oster. The danger zone on a road course is being out after the front runners have begun to pit, because if a caution flag comes, you go to the back. Here, Nick Sudik has stopped on that little escape road down at the bottom, and that is going to cause a caution. Nick Sudik slides to a stop. That's going to cause the yellow light to come out. And Jacob Oster, I mentioned the danger zone. Jacob Oster is going to be trapped a lap down here. Hamilton Akabuezi, Jason Brophy, Alexander might be in the pit lane. So here's the situation for Sudik. Just overcooks it, trying to get on the pit lane. And now ordinarily, if you rolled through, this wouldn't cause a caution. However, Alexander also overcooks it. And Seb spins it out close enough to the racing surface that does trigger the yellow. So we had two cars overcook it, trying to get onto the pit lane. And that is bad news for Jacob Oster. Now, Oster is going to be able to cycle toward the front. He will get his lap back, but he will be at the tail end of the longest line. We see Hamilton Akabuezi, Jason Brophy, and others head toward the pit lane. And that is something that is very difficult. You don't think about it. Just getting on pit road at Iowa is treacherous, to say the least.
Absolutely. We saw it last season in Oval Fixed. I think all three of our Rogue Racing entries missed the pit lane in basically the same fashion, right? It's a very, very curved, you've got a pretty tight corner to get to the pit lane, and then the pit lane itself is slightly curved. So you're basically constantly trying to turn in to make that pit lane. And if you have just a little bit too much tire wear, you lock up maybe the right rear tire, you just slide a little bit over, and you can either hit the pit wall or slide out onto that little access road and potentially bring out a caution.
You can indeed. Seb Alexander did not lose very much from his little slide there. He'll exit pit lane in 5th spot. Chad Simpson beats Jason Brophy out of the pits, and so Simpson is going to go to 2nd. You're looking at him there. We'll reset the field for you. Hamilton Akabuezi is your leader. Chad Simpson 2nd, Jason Brophy 3rd, then Logan Edwards and Seb Alexander. They'll round out your top 5. Blaze Andrich is in 6th spot. Jacob Oster 7th. Alexander, Andrich, and Oster are going to take the wave around. And so here are those cars. They're in front of Hamilton Akabuezi, and so they will get waved around the pace car, as will Unglaikis. Ohe is up there. Blaze Andrich is up there. Anna Klimek as well. Klimek is going to go to the tail end of 1 lap down. Rashad Craig is 1 lap down ahead of Klimek, and then David Hinger. That's the remainder of the top 10. Ella Spice, Lance Doyle, Ohe, Clindy are 2 laps down. That's 11th through 14th. Robin Glakis is 3 laps down. Nick Sudik is out of the race. Alexander Russell in 17th, 22 laps in arrears. Same for Robert Malechka. Caleb Brashear, 37 laps down, and he is, I believe, out of the race. And he says he'll be with us in 2 weeks. He says, although it's Laguna Seca, so he may be in the 2nd split at Laguna. Always a popular destination for these drivers, is it not, Jacob Collins?
Well, one, it's a free track, so that means everybody's got it, even if you don't think it's the hottest thing since sliced bread, like me. And it's a different track, right? All the runoff is basically sand. You've got a lot of very, very technical corners with hairpins and corkscrews and other bits and bobs around that circuit. So it'll be interesting to see how that one shakes out.
The situation with Laguna Seca. If fans at home, if you ever want to see something that will absolutely mess with your mind, go find pictures. You're probably not going to see much video, but go find pictures of Laguna Seca or Sonoma. As we get back to green flag action, we're watching from the grandstands. Hamilton Akabuezi gets the jump, gets the drop, and he reaches out and runs away from Chad Simpson now. Simpson, he's going to have a rearview mirror full of Alexander Russell, and then you've got Logan Edwards and Jason Brophy in hot pursuit. Seb Alexander, meanwhile, in 5th is looking at a mess. There's what Seb sees. He's behind Robin Glakis. Hello, Vibration, North Carolina. Yo to you as well. But we're watching Seb Alexander as he tries to pick his way through the lap cars and get back up toward the front. I was going to say, though, if you ever want Jacob to have something that absolutely will make you do a double take, try to find a picture of a race from Laguna Seca or Sonoma in the springtime when the grass is green.
Yeah, that's definitely a weird sight to behold. I know that when iRacing went out to scan Sonoma, I believe the grass was green. So maybe we'll get a seasonal version of Sonoma, right? They'll have springtime Sonoma where we can actually appreciate the California grass.
Then it's possible. Terry Silvers joins us along with Matty Wagner, Jason Brophy, and Hamilton Akabuezi changing fastest laps. It's hard to tell what ARBs and weight jackers these guys are running. This is an open setup series, and so that's going to be very, very setup dependent. It's going to be very setup dependent and also kind of personal. I tend to like a very hard front bar and a very soft rear bar. I know that some of the guys on my team, they don't like the car that way. So but this is an open setup race. So it's very difficult, is it not, Jacob, to know what the settings are in these automobiles.
Yeah, it's definitely your setup as much as your own personal preference too, right? Even on the same set, you may see guys kind of play around, try some different stuff out, see what settles in, right? They may change it over the course of the run too, right? We'll see guys kind of dial weight jacker in and out, maybe loosen or stiffen, particularly the rear bar if they've got it. Kind of make finer adjustments like that.
You can, even though it's deep in the field. Do want to point out that Kyle Clinworth is in touch with Olivia Hayward, and so this actually is the second closest battle for position on the track. If it weren't for Jason Brophy, now these are two green cars with dark trim. That's Simpson in the satellite entry on the top, Brophy in the power slide, private label team hype car on the bottom, and dispatch Chad Simpson. Jason Brophy has made it all the way back. He spun it from pole at the start, and he has gotten himself all the way back to second place. Jason Brophy now will set sail after Hamilton Akabuezi, move Simpson to third. Oster has gotten past Seb Alexander, and so Oster has now set his sights after Logan Edwards. The problem for Oster and Alexander, they're faster, but they're also buried deep in traffic. Edwards and Simpson 2 and 3 seconds up the road.
Yeah, I want to say Seb might have caught the back of Ellis Spice trying to work his way through lap traffic. He lost his left front wing, and then it came back, so he was forgiven, but he definitely checked up a good bit, and Oster got back around him. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of claw back any time here over the course of the rest of the race here, but unfortunate break for Seb.
It is possible. Did take a look at the front of Seb Alexander's Indy Alliance Racing entry. It did not appear to have any damage on it, but sometimes a little scuff can do a lot of damage in terms of lap time. We do have smoke on the inside, and so I do want to point out that Olivia Hayward is coming to pit lane with a meatball, and she is minus a front wing. And let's see what's happened to... Uh-oh. We were just talking that Ohei and Kyle Clinworth were one of the closest battles on the racetrack. Let's see what's befallen Olivia Hayward. And Ohei does the community setups in this car. What a wonderful resource for the community. Fine driver, and I believe she's just going to lose it. Pinched it too much off of turn number 4. Around she goes, and this car is going to go whoopsie all the way down and kind of catch that inside wall right there.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of cars kind of get squirrely off turn 4. That was a bit of the expectation coming into this race, is that we were going to see kind of especially the transition between the old and new asphalt cars just kind of unload very, very bizarrely like that. And unfortunately, it claims another victim.
Yeah, so I don't. That is very true. The grip level, I would say that the outer edge of the track, or the lighter gray portion, probably has 90% of the grip of the freshly paved pieces. The issue, though, isn't that you can't run up there, because you can run up there. The issue arises, as Jacob, as you were pointing out quite rightly, if you cross that transition wrong, and let's say you're sliding the right rear already, and you cross that transition, it makes a bad situation worse, if that makes any sense. You can drive across it like that, but if you've got the right rear slipped already, or you're sliding, or you're already loose, it's going to make it worse. I hope I explained that correctly.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where if you kind of got your car dialed in to be at that 100% grip mark, when you take away 10% of that grip and you're already at the maximum level, you're undercutting your limit at that point and taking away stuff you kind of needed to keep that car pointed the right way, and that's when you see those cars kind of slip away from underneath these drivers.
Do love our fans here at the P1 Broadcasting Network. Terry Silvers, Matty Wagner debating the merits of Jason Brophy versus Brandon Trost at Indianapolis. And won't that be fun? Is that next week that the Oval Series goes there?
No, that's tomorrow, Mark.
That is tomorrow. It is a good thing I've retired to put a microphone in front of my face. I do not want to be in that field. That scares me. That could be interesting. And good luck to you, Terry. We look forward to seeing you on the P1 Broadcasting Channel tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern Standard. Speaking of P1, we've got a nice audience tonight. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell to subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of all future P1 broadcasting efforts tomorrow night. Well, later on tonight, we've got a double header. Collins, are you going to run Phoenix in the ISRA?
Mark, I'm the championship leader. I got to be there.
All right, so special entry for Murph, driving to the side of Collins. Perfect. That'll be at 9:30 right here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. It'll be Gary Gonzo and Luis Gonzalez Nunez on the call for the ISRA series. Tomorrow night, it's the flagship. It is the Indy Open. Or
You're
excuse
looking
me,
for oval, Mark.
the Indy Oval. I need to learn my words. We'll go watch Hamilton for a minute. Maybe that'll help me out. I need to learn my words. Sim Gaming Expo was the sponsor I couldn't find for the ISRA, and we do thank George and his crew for sponsoring that series. The INDYCAR Oval Series presented by Techtopia. That's tomorrow, 8:15 Eastern. That is from Indianapolis. And Wednesday, we've got the Horizon INDYCAR Series. That's at 8 o'clock. Myself and Ryan Eric King. We'll have the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series from Chicago Street Course. That's at 8:20. Myself and Sam Crow. And then Saturday, it's the iRacing INDYCAR Series presented by 4D Racewear. That's going to be 2 o'clock. Mark your calendars. That's right back here at Iowa. We'll round out the week with the Dark Horse DW12 Series presented by the Joy of Driving from Kentucky. That is at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Sunday night. Right now, we're watching Hamilton Akabuezi. He has pulled away from Jason Brophy a gap of 2 seconds. And then Chad Simpson is 3 seconds further back. He is looking at the...
believe that's David Henger.
Yeah, it's David Hinger. And I can't tell exactly what's painted on the side of the David Hinger machine. I wanted to say it was Bucky's, but I can't quite make it out. Can you help me out with that one there, Mr. Collins?
Let's see here.
Get inside. It's a good-looking hot rod, and Hinger's giving it a ride. He's up there in the 10th spot. It's Moza, so that would be a stock iRacing paint there. Just couldn't quite make it out for David Hinger. But Logan Edwards is closing in on Chad Simpson. He's kind of caught up behind Hinger right now. But Edwards is fourth. And then you've got Oster. He's just about got himself back into this fight. If he can maybe sneak past Edwards and Simpson, they are within reach. He might be able to get onto the bottom step of the podium. Tonight is going to be a night of what could have been for Seb Alexander. Has the issue getting onto pit road. Seb was looking like he might have a shot at a win before sliding past the entry to pit lane. The good news is he doesn't hit anything. He's still going to be on for a pretty good finish here, Jacob. And then Blaze Andrich, he's going to round out the lead lap cars. There's Blaze in 7th. Rashad Craig is 8th. Anna Klimek is 9th. And we just talked about David Hinger. We are going to get back to this Simpson Oster Edwards trifecta here. There you see Chad Simpson from the roll bar of Logan Edwards, and Jacob Oster is not very far behind. There's Jacob.
No, it's kind of become the battle of who can navigate through the traffic the best. You kind of see it with multi-class sports car racing, right? Is where guys can get a bit quicker through the traffic and maybe gain some time that way. That's kind of what we're seeing as the cat and mouse game as Oster chases down Edwards.
Yes, we are. We know that Jacob Oster has a fast car. He led the first half of this race. In terms of lap time, Chad Simpson 18.1, Logan Edwards 18.3, Jacob Oster 18.1, Seb Alexander 18.4. The leaders, Akabuezi and Brophy, they're running around here 18 flat.
Let's talk about Jason Brophy. He was all the way at the back of the start of this race following the opening lap kerfuffle with the cars spinning off turn 4 on the start there. He might be in for a shot to battle for the win of this thing come the end of it.
There you go, 127 of 160 complete. Looking at Jason Brophy as he tries to run down Hamilton Akabuezi. They kind of seesaw back and forth. Jacob. One lap, Hamilton will be faster, then Brophy will come back. He'll run a little bit quicker. What has been consistent is that they have been about a tenth quicker than the Simpson-Edwards-Oster battle, and Oster is now at the back of Logan Edwards, and there you see it. Watching Logan Edwards as he leads Jacob Oster around here. Logan Edwards is fourth, Oster fifth. Oster would love to get one more rung back up toward the podium. Does he have enough to get by Edwards? Catching a man is one thing, passing him is another. Although, Jacob, we've seen Mr. Oster go quite a bit lower than the Luke Mansky machine of Logan Edwards. And now Oster fires his i5G car to the bottom. He'll make it past Logan Edwards, put Jacob Oster to fourth. Logan Edwards is going to be fifth, and they're going to look. He's going to now start looking to hunt down Chad Simpson in third. At the front, though, it's all this man. Hamilton Akabuezi is pulled down to a 2.6 second lead over Jason Brophy, and there's Brophy, and it is a long way back, half a lap to Chad Simpson, Jacob Oster, and Logan Edwards. And we'll get back to that. We'll get back to this battle because Oster is rapidly approaching Chad Simpson for the bottom step of the podium.
Yeah, you've got to think Oster wants at least a podium out of this thing, especially having led the bulk of the early portion of this race, having been able to get around the early carnage at the start.
Most certainly so. There's Hamilton Akabuezi leading, Brophy second. We're watching from the left eyeball of Jacob Oster as he tries to chase down Chad Simpson. Oster reliably about a tenth of a second a lap quicker. He should theoretically be there with 10 to 15 laps to go. The issue isn't catching the man, though. It's going to be passing him. Simpson, we know, has a fast machine. We know the quality of that car. That's a car that's allied with Rogue Racing and the Indy Alliance. So we know the quality of those satellite machines, Jacob. Is Simpson going to be able to hold off a charging Jacob Oster? That's about the last storyline out there. Kyle Clinworth, he's looking to gain a spot on Lane Doyle. This would move Clindy to 11th, and for Clindy, it's all about salvaging. It's all about salvaging the I rating at this point. Wouldn't you say, Jacob?
Well, in my own observations and Kyle's own himself, he's been on a bit of a downswing in the I rating department for about the last month or so since the 500s. However, I do think that he's out here to try to learn as much as he can. That's why he's wanted to run these Monday night races, right? Is he's trying to get an idea of how he can move himself further up the field in terms of, understanding the car and how to get the most out of it over the course of these long races, especially on road courses, which he hasn't done as much of. So, it's all learning opportunities. I think that's the biggest thing for him, and I'd like to think that he's learned some things today about, maintaining a solid pace, trying to keep it as clean as he possibly can and make the most of what he's got.
That's very true. And speaking of salvaging I rating, I know it's a long day, but Robert Malechka, there you see Malechka and his Power Slide teammate Alexander Russell, they are still circulating. And keep in mind, they've made up 4 spots. And so they were 19th and 20th, now 15th and 16th. Still 22 laps down. They're running laps comparable pace to the leader, but trying to salvage just as many positions as they can so that they don't take that big rating hit. Back up toward the front, Jacob Oster, he's trying to take third place off of Chad Simpson, and Oster is there.
Yeah, about within half a second now as we come on to lap 143 of 160. That'll leave him about 16 laps of hard charging to try to get to this last step of the podium here.
Yes, he is. Once again, Akabuezi and Jason Brophy have disappeared from the battle for third, but Jacob Oster, he is now on the rear wing of the satellite racing entry of Chad Simpson, and he definitely wants it.
One thing that might keep this battle up front interesting is Hamilton's caught the back of the lead lap field now. And as we know, IndyCar is special and lets lead lap cars about to go a lap down fight for it as hard as they want. As hard as you can fight for it to stay on the lead lap. You're entitled to do that. So that may slow up Hamilton here. And we'll have to see if maybe Brophy can reel himself back in over the course of these last 15 laps.
You could. I mean, he's catching Blaze Andrich. That's the car that is immediately to the front of Hamilton Akabuezi. There he is. There's the gap to Blaze Andrich. And so these are not slow cars. I mean, Blaze Andrich is 7th. He is the remaining one of the remaining cars on the lead lap. And then just a couple of seconds up the road from Hamilton Akabuezi is Seb Alexander. Seb Alexander is 6th, and Alexander at one point would have been a threat to win this race before the caution in the pit cycle. And so that is not a slow car. Alexander, by the way, has now caught Logan Edwards, and so you've got different things. You can see Akabuezi there, just about the length of the back straightaway behind. Here's Seb Alexander. He's going to start working on Logan Edwards. Meanwhile, Jacob Oster is working on the back of Chad Simpson. Oster is there.
Yeah, and he's going to have about 10 laps to play with to try to make it by Chad here as he looks high through 3 and 4 here. Is going to maybe generate a run to kind of cut low as he does down the front stretch here.
You called it, Jacob. There goes Jacob Oster to the bottom of Chad Simpson, and Oster has made it back to the podium. He is now scored 3rd, so it's Akabuezi, Brophy, Oster. Let's get back because Seb Alexander, after his trials and tribulations, he and Oster started tailing Charlie at the, we'll call it the halfway reset. Oster's made it back up to 3rd. Seb Alexander, a little bit more of a long run car perhaps, but he's looking to take 5th place off of Logan Edwards here.
Yeah, you've got to think that that's the last thing he wants to think is that he's not going to be able to salvage anything here come the end of this race. So if he can make it by Edwards here, that's at least going to be some sort of solace, and that he was able to fight for the win here tonight and can kind of hold his hat on that and make it to the next round. Yes, indeed.
And speaking of next rounds, I would look. This is one of those tracks. Even with Indianapolis being on the schedule for this week, this is one of those tracks that I would expect to see fairly healthy participation, Jacob, for the remainder of the week. Not only can there be Indianapolis fatigue, but this is just generally considered to be one of the more fun combinations, car and track in the service. The other bit is we've got a barn burner of an iRacing INDYCAR Series event coming up here Saturday, and so a lot of these open setup guys, they're going to want to prepare for that.
Yeah, and you've got to think that the more time they can get, maybe dialing in their setups. You know, the weather might be slightly different between the iRacing Series and here in Open, but even still, just getting more laps on this new surface might be enough of a help to kind of get an idea of where to take your car over the course of the race as maybe track temperature rises and falls and the tires start to act a little bit differently.
Yes, indeed. Seb Alexander working on the back of Logan Edwards. The podium positions have been settled. Akabuezi leads it. Brophy and Oster P2 and 3. Chad Simpson is pretty firmly ensconced into 4th. Seb Alexander, though, can he make it by Logan Edwards? We're going to come to get 2 laps to go here this time, Jacob.
He's working as hard as he can on that bottom lane, but Logan Edwards is hanging tough on the outside. It'll be interesting to see if Seb can maybe generate that run maybe we saw that Oster used to get around Simpson and kind of make that high line to low line cut down the front stretch work.
We'll see. Seb Alexander, he's going to poke his nose down to the bottom in turns 3 and 4 one more time. It is so difficult to make that stick. Chris Demerit and I ran like that in the Race Spot anniversary race for 40 laps, and he was unable to get by me. We are at the white flag lap. Seb Alexander on the bottom. He's going to make the move stick. Logan Edwards overshot it just a little bit. Got the right sides up in the gray stuff. Put Alexander back to 5th. Logan Edwards 6th. Blaze Andrich goes a lap down at the gun to finish 7th.
We had ourselves a good old-fashioned tornado in a cornfield.
Yeah, the tornado in the cornfield was Hamilton Akabuezi, and there you see the final results from Iowa. Hamilton Akabuezi is the winner. Jason Brophy 2nd. Jacob Oster will round out the top 3. Chad Simpson in a return to the Indy Open Series. He'll run 4th in the satellite entry. Seb Alexander will round out your top 5 for Indy Alliance. It's going to be Logan Edwards, Blaze Andrich, Rashad Craig, Anna Klimek. Anna stayed in the top 10. She's going to finish 9th. David Hinger will round out that top 10. In 11th, Lane Doyle. How about Lane Doyle sneaking in as the 20 car? He's going to bring it, Lane Doyle sneaking in as the 20 car. He's going to bring it home 11th ahead of Kyle Clinworth, Alice Spice, Robin Glakis. Robert Malechka comes back to run 15th. Alex Russell 16th. Oh hey, Olivia Hayward, Nicholas Sudik, Caleb Brashear, and Ty Keela all out of the race. And that is your 20 car field tonight here at Iowa. That was a fun race there, Collins.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Get some replays queued up here. Do we have anybody down in the interview room?
Doesn't look like it.
We'll give these guys just another couple of moments. Of course, do want to thank all of the. There's Jacob Oster, and we'll go ahead and bring him up because his car is already on the screen. Jacob, you got Mark and Jacob Collins. We got too many Jacobs. I'm outnumbered in the booth now. Jacob Oster, you got Murph and Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. Interesting night. Do I want to have you repeat the language when the caution came out right as you made your pit stop, or are we best to leave that to the imagination?
I can leave it to the imagination because I don't even remember what I said.
It was a fast car, though. You led most of the early going. You got to come from the back to the front. We did see a little bit. We did see Hamilton catch you there at the end of the opening run. Seb catch you up a little bit. Was that saving gas, or was your car just a little bit quicker on the short run and gave up a little bit on the long run? Kind of talk about that.
You may want to look at lap 47, considering that I was about 55 degrees tilted into the corner because I almost died. So yeah, that's why I lost 3 seconds. I almost binned it by myself, just missing the entry one time, and it's a hell of a save. But it was that's what really kind of cost me the gap. And I think even if that doesn't happen and the caution comes out at the same time, I still get screwed over.
Gotcha. Mr. Collins.
Yeah, we kind of saw you shoot to the really, really big lead at the front here. How much of it you were trying to push, trying to go forward, knowing that eventually if you caught lap traffic, that might start to reel people back in? Obviously, you kind of talked about how the bulk of that time was lost due to an entry error, but was there anything that might have potentially caused that slip up just from trying to push the car too hard, or what were kind of your mode of attack on that opening run?
Really, I was all about tire saving. Even with this new service that I'm not really that much of a fan of, it's still all about tire saving. So all you're trying to do is make it to lap 80 at least to make it a one stop and save your tires the best you can, because I knew I'd be better than everybody but 4 cars in this field at the end of a run, and that kind of held out to be true. But I just had to be conservative, run just consistent lap times over and over and over again. And the one time I wasn't, it almost bit me, but I was able to corral it.
There you go. Well, we're glad you did save it, Jacob. Congratulations on the podium finish. Heck of a charge through the field too. That was definitely fun to watch. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The floor is yours, my man.
Thanks, Trano, for making a good car. Contrary to his belief, it was not too edgy. I felt it was pretty good once I got the hang of the track. I just got to learn this place. And thank you for Powerslide for making an all-time moment that I will replay forever.
That was definitely interesting. I would not like to hear the language in that channel either, but
I want to hear
it. Well, maybe you can get him to share it, Jacob. But thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. That is Jacob Oster. He is going to run third today. For second place, we're going to talk to one of the Power Slide drivers that had the moment of moments to start the race. Jason Brophy, you've got Murph and Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth, and we got to ask what happened at the start with you and Rob there.
Apparently, don't launch on the old pavement. Never practiced a single restart, and that obviously showed. So I think it was when I went shift. I'm actually trying to watch it back now, but it just nope. Before I went shift, it just it just started spinning the tires like over the paint, and that was it. That's what it is.
You remember the old ESPN commercial with the unlimited hydroplanes that flipped at the exact same time? That's what that kind of reminded me of. It was synchronized spinning for you guys. But then we got to watch you charge through the field, sabers drawn. Talk about that run from dead last back up to second.
Yeah, I knew, as long as I didn't kill anything, so I didn't have any damage, unlike Alex and poor Rob that were destroyed. Car was at least drivable, and so it was just a matter of I still had a fuel save. It was still a one-stop. Try and get around the track and do the one-stop. It was really good in the long run. It was a little too tight in the first run, a little too loose in the second run. Kind of track change, picked up some rubber on the caution, at least to start. So, but I don't think I really had anything for Hamilton. I mean, driver-wise, Rob's pretty significantly better than me. I think it'd have been a fun fight between them, although, I'm sure Rob will disagree and say he could have walked, but car was really good. We put some effort into it in Power Slide, except for restarts, and we'll know that now. Learned our lesson in a very at least reasonable way.
You learned it. You learned it in a very public way, right, Jacob?
Yeah. For me, at least I didn't hit anything. Like I gathered it up, got back going. Car was fine. Got to go drive through the field, save fuel, save tire. I had one extra lap when the caution came out. I was gonna pit that, like literally pitting. I was going into 3 when the caution came out. Thankfully, I almost had 2 extra laps, so I was able to make it around under the caution and not get myself run out. I ran out of fuel in pit lane, so had to, and then I got auto fueled, so I had to cycle to the back. It might also have been interesting if I could have started right with Hamilton or right up front, but because I was so low on fuel, I forgot to check my fuel number, and it auto fueled me to the super save number, so it didn't fill my car, which was not ideal. Because even in the last run, I had to do a little save, just a bit. I think I ended with like half a gallon. But yeah. Happy with the car. Wish we could have all 3, driven a little better. Happy with the pole lap. Thankfully, I had Rob give me a little advice after he ran his, so I was able to run a little better. Good day. Wish I would have won, but hey, Hamilton's quick.
There you go. Jacob, do you have anything for Mr. Brophy? He has given us a pretty comprehensive review of his day, but I don't know if you have any questions.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is how do you manage trying to work your way through the field with the fuel save, right? Obviously, you kind of have to keep it in the back of your head how to hit your number, but at the same time, you're trying to work your way past cars. Is there any like kind of a golden goose that you think you found to kind of do that, or is it just kind of hitting your marks and knowing your limits?
No limits, knowing where the track is. Obviously, we ran the pro race here, and I had an internet drop out while I was in, 9th or 10th, and we ended up winning that day. This track's a little tougher to pass on, but you can get away with, you can run a little closer than you think. It doesn't take that much clean air. You can run a little outside the groove on entry and stuff like that. You can move around a bit. It gets tougher. One-on-one's not bad. When you get to 2 cars in front of you, 3 cars in front of you, it gets real hard. So if you're behind 2 cars, it's real hard to make a move as the 3rd car just because most of the track's covered. Thankfully, you won't have marbles covering the top lane, so we can at least make attempts. But yeah, I mean car's just good. We've had a good platform at the short tracks for a while now, so it's still carried over. There's been some changes, but it's still carried over pretty well to this stuff, to Iowa, even though it's a new repave. Definitely a driver's track now. The driver talent's going to show a lot more here. I know, I'm pretty significantly slower than Rob, so it's just really fidgety, and the transitions from old to new make things a lot more interesting, I guess I'd say. You're wheeling that thing the whole time. That's a big difference for maybe the old Iowa. If it was this track temp, you'd be wheeling it, but not that you're pretty gripped up. Like your big concern would be snapping out of 2, for example. Whereas here it's out of 4. It wants to spin. It wants to it's everywhere. So
there you go. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for joining us.
Yep.
As always, and you know that you guys were having a time out there because we talked to Jacob. He was about as animated as Jacob Oster gets. You're pretty animated tonight, so we know the adrenaline's up there. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours, my man.
I want to thank you guys for broadcasting this. Tommy Milner and Ty Stover for letting us run, the Team Hype colors. Power Slide. I want to thank really my teammates Alex, Russell, and Rob. Worked pretty hard in the set, obviously. Wish we could have gotten a better result, but P2 is still pretty good. I guess I can't complain too hard after the way my race started. Really, I'm sure there's people I'm forgetting. Everybody in the Indy community. So I had a lot of fun tonight. It is a driver's track, but I had a lot of fun tonight. So.
Awesome. Well, get out of here. Go celebrate the middle step. You've earned it, my man. Have a good one. That is Jason Brophy. And for the winner, Hamilton, we keep meeting like this, my man. P1 tonight here at Iowa. P1 Docs on the car. It wasn't always that way, though. Jacob led it for the first half. Kind of talk to us about your thought process. If the yellow hadn't flown in the pit cycle, what would you have done to get around him?
I mean, the first stint was, after everything at the start, the first stint was pretty straightforward. Just sit in map 4 or 5 and fuel save. And so once I caught, Jacob made the mistake, got loose or whatever it was, and then so that let me catch up, and then I just fuel save behind him. So I was gonna go another 3-4 laps or so. So that would have made the difference. So I don't have to fuel save quite as much on the next stint. And I think my pace was good enough where I definitely could have got around him normally. And then from there, I think it would have been pretty straightforward. But I think pace was close to Jason. I think at times he was a little quicker, but it's hard to tell. We were in and out of traffic, people fighting or not. So it was just got kind of maintained itself there towards the end as well.
Mr. Collins, what have you got for Hamilton Akabuezi this evening? I wasted my question. That was a great answer, though.
I think the biggest thing was just kind of getting an idea of how to navigate through the traffic coming to the end of that race. We kind of saw you inch your way towards the back half of the lead lap late in the race there, though. How do you feel like you go about managing that, especially as kind of hard and fast as these short ovals are?
Yeah, it's really being, most of the times it's being patient on the bottom. People will track out, and then you're just kind of able, you get a little more free air if you're all the way on the white line than what the line most of these guys are running, and so you're able to just, most of it's getting the run off, running a little lower than them on exits, and that was how most of them were made. Sometimes you'll get the momentum and get close on entry, but that's a bit harder to do. It's easier to just get some overlap on exit. Just being patient. You really have to be patient, but because I know my pace is better because I caught them, so I don't have to worry as much.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, now all you need to do is worry about the fun part, right? So, friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours, Hamilton. You've earned it.
Yeah, shout out P1. It seemed like people put some pretty dang good key laps in. Anna had a great key lap. Shout out P1 Docs. Shout out Nick. After the thing at the start, he was running pretty solid. And then just the mistake and the timing of it, that kind of sucked. But still, shout out him for running when he has COVID right now. So big shout out to him for sure.
Excellent deal. And we do wish Nick Sudik a quick heal. I know that's tough, but thank you so much for joining us, Hamilton. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. That's Hamilton Akabuezi. He is the winner tonight. And Jacob, it was a different kind of a race, I think, than I expected. The drivers were able to battle a lot closer than we thought.
Yeah, you saw the field spread out a good bit, but the guys that were able to stay pretty close together were able to put on a decent show of just kind of battling back and forth, the game of inches, if you will, trying to make those spots up. So hopefully that's a good sign for more IRO races to come on this new scan.
You know, it most certainly is. I think for myself, you know, having run the DW12 race here, we knew there were going to be 2 lines, but these drivers proved that you could run both effectively here. It may be a little bit more compressed than what we're used to seeing, but there are definitely 2 lanes, and you definitely can race. And speaking of racing, tonight, if you want to catch the back half of the doubleheader, Gary Gotzo is going to be going live with the Sim Gaming Expo ISRA Series. They're going to be live from Phoenix here in just a few moments. Jacob Collins is the points leader in that series, and so you can catch him in action tomorrow night. We've got the flagship broadcast. It is the iRacing INDYCAR Oval Series presented by Techtopia live from Phoenix. And then we've got a full slate the rest of the week. Don't forget to catch the Horizon IndyCar League on Wednesday at 8. And then Thursday, we're going to have the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series live from Chicago. For Jacob Collins, our founder Gary Godso, I am Mark Murphy. We do want to thank all of our competitors, all of our friends, family, and all of the people that make this possible. Chief among those, all of the first responders, the police, the fire, the military, the EMTs, the nurses in the emergency room, all the people that do the difficult jobs in the middle of the night so that we can sleep soundly and safely in our beds. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Jacob, go lead the points at Phoenix.
Boy, howdy, am I going to try.